Welcome to Hoda's Career Chat. For those of you joining me for the first time, I'm a career development professional. What that means is I wear many career hats. And the most important hat for you today is the one where I get to answer your education and career questions. But before I do that, I usually like to share some tidbits from clients and attendees' past questions. And the tidbit today is about the power of your will. Here's my question to you. Do you believe if you have the will to succeed, you can succeed? Okay, your answer should be yes, I do. And here's how you're going to do it. When you have a dream or you have an idea or you have making it to a doctor's appointment or to the ice cream store, that you have a dream or you have a thing that you'd like to accomplish. If you don't have the willpower to make it to the ice cream shop, you're not going to make it. So definitely you have to engage your willpower in accomplishing your dreams. And let me tell you, you will be amazed by what you can accomplish by putting your mind to it. I am going to make it to the ice cream shop. You have to find the time to do that and the effort to get there, whether it's walking or driving or taking a bus. And I'll give you some examples from my personal experience. For years, I've had the dream to receive a doctorate degree. And I never had the willpower to do it, though. It was a nice dream, like one day I will do it, but I never had the willpower to do it until recently. So I put in my mind that I am going to accomplish it. So I signed up, well, I applied, got accepted, signed up. And then it took time. It does take a few years to get a degree, especially if you're starting from a bachelor degree, and particularly because you have to get through a few years to get that. More importantly is the effort that you need to put. After going back to university, after many years of not having read academic articles, it was a bit of a challenge for me. So I really had to put the effort to educate myself and start reading articles. I started by reading an article for 20 minutes a day. Pretty soon I was reading for 2 to 3 hours. Same thing when you sit down to write your article, your thesis. Again, the writing part was a bit of a challenge, but bit by bit I got ahead and I accomplished it. And this brings me to the famous saying that was famous back when I was young, but I believe it still applies today. When there is a will, there is a way. So definitely take your time to figure out what you have the willpower to do, what is important to you, and what are you willing to do. Once you figure that out, then you can sit down and say, how am I going to accomplish it? How much time do I need to accomplish it? And what kind of effort does it need? What you need to know is that there is no way without the will to lead it. Once we have the will, then we can sit down and figure out the way. So think about it. What is driving your will today? What are you hoping to accomplish sooner than later? Whether it's a small thing or a big thing, what idea is driving you and what are you hoping to accomplish? If you're not sure, think about what are you capable of? What is it that you're doing on a day-to-day basis that you would like to take and grow or take and build on and develop? If you would like to move forward in your life and accomplish things, these are questions that you can ask yourself. What is driving my will? What am I capable of? Think about it and let me know. Now it's time for the actual reason that you are here, and it is time to have your questions answered. Before I answer your questions, I want to remind you of a couple of things. Whether you send me the messages, type them in chat today, or direct message them to me. There are no right or wrong questions. No question is too silly for you to contemplate and share. And the same goes for me. No question is too silly for me to contemplate and respond to. So please remember that as you type your questions. Because if it is on your mind, I'm sure other people are thinking about it. So you're not only helping yourself by asking these questions, you're also helping others. And my promise to you, if I don't know the answer, is to let you know, and I will do my best to find out the answer for you. Now, if you send the message directly to me, I will answer you directly. If you send it in comments, I will try to respond to it in future episodes. So really, don't be shy about sending in your questions. So let's take a quick look here at your questions. I arrived in Canada in October 2019. I have spent the last 6 months learning English. I'm ready to find a job now. What are my chances for finding a job? Your chances of finding a job are pretty good if you speak English and you have qualifications that you brought from where you came from. It might be a bit challenging at first, but once you figure out your market, the market you want to apply to, then you are way ahead and you are enhancing your chances of finding a job. What you need to make sure, and I don't know if you already have that ready, is to have a resume ready, a cover letter template ready. This is your base to change according to the jobs you're applying to. And more importantly is your networking list. Think of all the people you have met in the past 6 months. Write their names down and try to find a way to connect with them. Either email, if not, Google them, see if they're on LinkedIn. If they know you, they met you, you have your phone number. Find a way to connect with them, and so that you can network, talk to them to help you find a job. Usually if they don't know, they might know someone. If they're not hiring, they might know someone who is hiring and they might be able to help you. For new immigrants, I do recommend checking out federal, provincial, and municipal government websites. They are open to hiring new immigrants. They will call your home country and check your references. So you do need, actually, that was one important thing that I missed, is to have your reference list ready. Having 3 to 5 references, either from your English class, from people you met now, or from where you worked back home. They are willing to invest the money and call overseas to check into it. And or also nowadays, they can also email and check your references. I also have one more website. If you're not involved in any of the new immigrant communities, and there are plenty of them depending on the city you're at. If you're not, then you should be reaching out for immigrant associations in your community, in your city as well. There is a website that you can check, and I did go on it about last week, and they did have some new jobs posted. The name of the website is newcomerscanadajobs.ca. So it's all connected, one word, of course, because it's on the website link, newcomerscanadajobs.ca. But I take you back and say the most important is to check with your network. They are the best way for you as an immigrant with no Canadian experience to help you and support you in finding a job. And as usual, like, networking is really the best for anyone, new immigrant or not. That would be my recommendation. Next Next question, why is work experience more important than a diploma or degree? Work experience is important in the eye of employers because you have gotten the opportunity to prove yourself. While it may not be more important, it depends on the job you're applying to, of course, because sometimes certifications are important for you to do a certain job. So the certification might be more important than having work experience. If you've worked in a certain field, but you don't have the certification, you might not be able to actually I'm sorry, if you've worked but no certification, then you will not be able to get a job in that without being certified in certain provinces in Canada. But employers rely on work experience because for many reasons, including you have proven yourself and your ability to show up for work. You have proven yourself in your ability to be part of a team or part of a company. The skills we learn in education do not allow us to prove ourselves in that I can show up to a 9-to-5 job or I can show up to a weekend job. And so the work experience just provide employers almost as a prerequisite that, you've done this before, you can do it again. And then this is when looking at your education becomes equally important, specifically if it's part of the job description. Next question. Should I start looking for a new job if I find that I am not doing a good job in my current role? I always tell my clients that it's really important to have an updated resume handy. Update your resume every 6 months, whether you are planning on moving to a new job or not. This way your skills, the new skills that you are developing are still fresh in your mind. And now with resumes, we say the last 10 years of your work are enough. And so it's always a good idea to get your resume ready. Before I answer if you should start looking for a new job, I want to tackle I'm not doing a good job in my current role. And the questions you have to ask yourself is, why do you think so? What made you believe that you're not doing a good job in your current role? And I'll give you an example. If you have been given a task that, let's say, you didn't know how to handle or you were not sure, and if you messed up, it's okay, particularly if you are new in a job, companies will forgive you. But the next time that this happens and you're giving a task you're not sure of, it's probably a good idea to reach out to your supervisor for more questions, saying, hey, I don't know how to do the job, but saying, hey, I have a few questions about this task just so I can make sure it's done perfectly. So definitely focus on what those feelings that are coming from that you're not doing a good job at. Should I start looking for a new job? In of itself, I think it does not hurt to look for another job, but I warn is that don't leave your current job. It's particularly, even if you think you're going to get fired, I think you need to find a new job, particularly if you need the finances that the current job is offering. Find a new job, get an offer, then you sit down and compare your two positions, two situations. I have this new job that I got accepted into. I have my old job. What are the benefits of either and the pros and cons of either? And then you can sit down and decide, should you be leaving that job that you have? So I would definitely say it's okay to be looking for a new job, but don't leave your job right away. Okay. I'm in high school. I have applied to many jobs, but I have not heard back. How do I find a job? That's a very good question. And what I say when you have applied to many jobs, I would typically ask my clients, how did you apply to these jobs? And one client I had recently, he had sent 100 applications, 100 job applications. My question was, okay, so did you write a cover letter? Did you email any hiring managers? And the answer was no. So while it's perfect and really the best starting base to have a great looking resume, it's not enough on its own. So double check your resume, make sure there are no editing mistakes on it, make sure you see that everything is looking good in it, the bullets are aligned, and your address is clear. And one trick I learned recently, as in one of the blogs I was reading, is that the ATS system, which I didn't know that before, does not read the header and the footer notes. So if you happen to have your name and address under a header rather than as a block on their own on the resume page, the ATS system will not read it. The applicant tracking system, which really companies use to rule out resumes, they will not read your contact address, and without that, then the ATS system will rule you out as a possible applicant. So really digging into the editing and look of your resume is important. But I do believe applications on their own are not enough. And I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I printed an application, I printed a resume, and just went and walked through a mall and asked for the manager. Granted, back then there were a lot of shops hiring. But every time I went and asked the manager, and I said, here's my resume, I'm looking to find a job. And even for one of them, I said, you know what, my hours are not flexible. I can only work from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I was asked questions and interviewed on the spot. And I did manage to get quite a few job offers. The idea of speaking to a manager may be daunting to some, and it was to me, but you have to do that to get a job. So let's say right now, I'm not sure what your qualifications are. You're saying you're in high school, actually, so I kind of know. I don't know if you've worked part-time before at all while in high school, but I'll assume that you didn't at all. You have no work experience. The best thing to do, and I'm going to assume that you're looking to work a part-time job in a fast food company, fast food restaurants. The best way is to print your resume and go to the fast food place and say, can I speak to the manager? While this may not guarantee you a job, this will guarantee you the halfway through the interview. You have shown your aggressiveness, you have shown your impulsiveness, you have shown that you are ready to work. I tell my clients to think of them as informational interview. And some questions that you can ask is, when do you typically hire high school students? And what kind of hours do you give them? And what are your expectations from them? So lots of questions for you to ask in an information interview. But really, speaking to the manager will get you ahead of the crowds. If that manager has 100 applicants and you're the one who came and say, I want to speak to you, your resume is going to go on top because he already knows you. He's like, okay, I've talked to Hoda before. I'm going to call her, see if she's still interested in a job position. So even if they don't have an opportunity for you right now, they may have one in the future. And guess what? You have put yourself ahead of the crowd. So try it. Let me know if it works. I have tested it. in the market, and with my resume, I did not add a lot of my qualifications. I was applying to all retail, like clothing stores. And it so happened that a few of them had positions open. One of them took me on my offer to work from 9 to 2 because shops open at 10 typically, but they need someone to come in at 9 to open the shop and set it up. But a lot of them had evening and weekends as well. So it really depends what you're looking for. But the most important thing to do is to go speak to a manager. Particularly coming out of high school, we go back to the work experience, which you may or may not have. Employers don't like that. So you want to put yourself ahead of the crowd by saying, yeah, I don't have work experience, but I am an ambitious person. We do have question for one more, time for one more question. I have a job offer for a lower salary, but better job growth opportunities. Is it okay to leave my current job? Your question tells me that in your mind, you're almost convinced that you want to leave. I could be wrong, but I would want to ask you more questions for sure to build on that. Is the lower salary first okay with you? Like, you have to consider your finances. Is it okay? Will you be able to survive? How solid is the job offer? So study the company. Is it a company that's doing well, or is it a company that is on the risk of being closed soon? You can find all that information online. Better growth opportunities definitely sounds like an important thing, and I would be probably excited about it. But check into the company and check, of course, if you can afford the lower salary to maintain the lifestyle that you have, or if there's sacrifices that need to be made. Are you and anyone else involved in this in your life okay with the sacrifice that may come from having a lower salary? So once you answer these questions, and if they all seem favorable to take the new job, then it becomes okay. But jumping from one position to another, particularly if you have commitments, financial commitments, is something that you will have to reflect on and involve everyone who is affected by your lower salary in a discussion. And one more thing, is the company worth moving to? Because if it's a company that's not doing so well, you don't want to be working there for less than 6 months and get fired because the company is going bankrupt. So lots to consider and think about before you jump ship. But it sounds like a good opportunity. If it answers the right questions for you personally and for your family, then you have your answer to your questions. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for all your questions. As usual, before I let you go, I like to leave you with some weekly reflection. It is really a repetition of today's quote. When there is a will, there is a clear way. You'll notice that I added a clear because if you can create your own pathway, career pathway of where you would like to be headed, then the road becomes clear. It won't be easy necessarily. There will be a lot of obstacles on the road. Think of it as an obstacle course where you will fail quite a few times. And I will quickly share an example of my doctorate degree failure, since we talked about that today, where I had written 50-page document, my thesis, and sent it to my professor. A week later, she sends her comments, and she had really changed everything that I wrote down. To me, that was a failure, and I was very, very disappointed and sad. But remember the oops moments we talked about last time? You pick up the pieces, you say, okay, she didn't like it, she's my supervisor, I have to talk to her about it and see where all her comments came from. And while that is not easy, it is the only way, it was the only way for me to move forward in having my thesis completed. So I picked up the pieces and did it. So though I'm not promising a clear pathway, it is a clear way of where you're headed. You've got your goals planned out, you've got your objectives, how you're going to accomplish that thing that you want to accomplish. There will be many obstacles, many failures before you succeed for it. But as long as you keep your eye on where you're headed, keep readjusting your goals and objectives, you will get there. But again, think about it. When there is a will, there is a clear way. Let me know how you feel about this quotation. I want to thank you so much for being a part of this episode. But before I let you go, one more thing. I am on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest as well. And also, if you would like to listen to this episode again, you can see it on YouTube. You can hear it on SoundCloud. And if you want to share it, for sure on that. And I've got one question for you. I am not on Facebook currently, but considering joining Facebook and having a Right Career Fit page. Let me know what you think. Is it worth my time to go on Facebook? Or should I just stick to the LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest? I really would love to hear your opinion on that. And feel free to message me on rightcareerfit.com. Enjoy your week, and I will see you next week.